Okay. Okay. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. I appreciate you. I've got 5 topics tonight. Each one is about 2 or 3 minutes. The first topic is the Nimbus Wind Farm time. In 2005, the first wind farm appeared in Carroll County and then fizzled out by 2008 due to not enough wind, if you could believe that. 10 years later, Scout came to Carroll County. By 2016, Ken Butler, Burton Cheney, and the Eagle Hill Ranch were the first to sign leases for turbines. These 3 people alone qualify for 23 turbines out of a proposed 30 turbines, which is what Scout said. There won't be any more than 30 turbines. We, of course, hope 0. By 2018, Scout had all the contracts signed that they needed. They keep telling everybody they have 50 contracts. Well, guess what? There are only 11 landowners that even qualify for turbines. The rest of them, they're just easements to go across the property to lay lines. Then Scout was quiet and no further leases or activity for 5 years. And then we came along in 2023. So February 2023, I met workers on my county road 905, which is the center, the hub of everything here. They told me they were surveying the road to bring in the wind turbines. Well, I immediately called Richard Williams, my neighbor, and he called Becky Gillette. She works with the Eureka Springs Independent newspaper, and she was the first one to break the story. Now, Becky has worked diligently. She has researched and she has written over 50 articles, and we thank her so very much. So those articles are free online, and that is eureka.news. So everything that has been covered by Eureka Springs Independent newspaper is free at eureka.news. The second topic is ordinances, moratorium, and our lawsuit. Now, our quorum court is made up of 11 justices of the peace, whose job it is to represent the people in their districts. Now, they have voted down 3 ordinances and 1 moratorium. We only needed 6 votes to pass a wind turbine ordinance that would have restricted the wind turbine placement or the noise or the nighttime lighting. Folks, there were only 3 JPs that supported ordinances, and those all 3 are from Eureka Springs. And they are Harry Farrow, Kelly Matt, and Bruce Wright. So if you see them, please tell them thank you for supporting us. Folks, a big reason that these ordinances failed is because Scout sent out mailers and texts all through Carroll County claiming that your property rights were going to be taken away. So the JPs received so many phone calls based on this false and misleading information from the mailers. Evidently, these 8 JPs did not bother to do any research or investigating because they voted against any of the ordinances and also the moratorium. Now, despite the fact that we met with the JPs individually, we explained the negative side of the turbines and the fact that our property rights were being violated. Now, myself and many passionate locals have spoken at 16 different quorum court meetings here in Carroll County. It all seemed to fall on deaf ears. However, I think we have a second opportunity for another ordinance, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, in the meantime, this month, October, Carroll County Judge David Ryder signed Scout's road use agreement. It's very weak and it's very biased. We believe that contract is unlawful. So we have filed a lawsuit against the county judge and the Nimbus project with our lawyer, Mr. Matt Bishop. Now, if anyone wants to read the lawsuit, I can email that to you. I believe that it was also printed in the Carroll County newspaper. And we do have a GoFundMe account for litigation, and there is a link provided on the screen there. The third topic is a little bit longer, and it's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife public comment period, which may happen next month. And we will notify everyone as soon as we know what that date is. Now, Scout has been meeting with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife since 2018 to survey bat and eagle populations and the flight paths. Folks, keep in mind the U.S. Fish and Wildlife cannot say no to this project. What they can do is suggest a habitat conservation plan for Scout, which, if you think about it, is just so utterly ridiculous. It's like saying you can go and kill X amount of bats and eagles during the Nimbus wind farm project, but then make up for these deaths by creating a habitat conservation plan. It's just so ridiculous, but this is what they do. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife will then decide how many eagles Scout is legally eligible to cause the death of. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife will issue what's called an incidental take permit. See, Scout has been schmoozing with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife for over 6 years now. Scout will then buy an eagle for somewhere around $30,000 per eagle. I'm not certain on that amount, but that's what I heard. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is going to make a lot of money off of this project. And in general, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife makes a lot of money off of the wind companies with these incidental take permits. So in the meantime, folks, it is extremely important if you have tree bats, caves, eagle nest, or if you see a lot of eagles on your property, it is very, very important that you call the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and they will come and survey your property. They will survey and look at your cave. What's really important is if you may have a maternity colony, bat colony in a cave. That's real important to them. Now, if you don't know, it doesn't matter. Just call them anyway. I'm going to give you the phone number in a minute. See, what happened was Scout, they looked at caves, but only on properties that they had leases for. They didn't look at any of the nearby neighbors' properties at their caves. So there are more of us than there are of the leaseholders. So it's a very good chance that you could have important wildlife habitat on your property. Now get ready to write down the phone number, or someone can write it in the chat. This is for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Now the lead agent, his name is Tommy Inebnit, and that's spelled Inebnit. Tommy's direct number is 501-428-1759. Now, again, if you have tree bats, bat caves, eagle nest, or if you have a lot of sightings of eagles on your property, please call U.S. Fish and Wildlife. They need to know about it, and they will come out and look at the caves. Again, that number is 501-428-1759, and she did put it up on the screen there. Now, imagine this. It's called the U.S. Fish and Wildlife public comment period, but guess what? The U.S. Fish and Wildlife really doesn't want a lot of public comments, because if they get too many, it's going to escalate this into an environmental impact statement. Wow, too much work for them. That's what we want to happen. We want an environmental impact statement because it could cause a delay. Now, in the meantime, friends, please contact every environmental professional that you know who can comment about the negative impacts to the environment and the wildlife population. And also, if there's any rare species of birds on your property, such as the ivory-billed woodpecker, that would be also important. Now, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife created a website. They're trying to be proactive and create this very nice website. They're trying to literally quell the masses and assure you that this is under control just look at all this data that Scout has done. The website will be in the chat at the end of this. It's also going to be on my Facebook page. We don't know what the date is yet for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife public comment period, and we will announce it on Facebook and email, and we will have another Zoom call because we want to flood U.S. Fish and Wildlife with public comments. And the public actually wouldn't know about it unless you knew that they were going to have one, and then you could go to the link and make a comment. So it's not commonly shared with the public, but we will make sure that it is. Folks, keep in mind that these large organizations that you think care about the environment, such as the Sierra Club, they will not make a negative statement about wind farms. So what you want to do is contact individuals in that organizations. The fourth topic is our goals and a new predatory wind farm salesman in our area. Obviously, we want to win the lawsuit, thus voiding the illegal road use agreement. We think it's illegal. And that will block Scout from widening and using the roads, and therefore they can't bring in their heavy equipment. If they can't modify the roads, then they can't build the turbines. In the meantime, let me explain this second chance ordinance that I was talking about. So some of you from the Facebook group have read the post from Mr. Wade Hill, who told us that a different wind company salesman showed up unannounced at his home a few weeks back. Now, Wade's wife politely told him they were not interested in wind farms, and the salesman was shocked. Can you believe that? Since then, this wind company, this particular one, is it's a new for us, is Enel, E-N-E-L. They have been knocking on more doors and getting a lot of no's. They've been focusing on the north side of Green Forest and Berryville. So we're talking primarily Cisco Road, County Road 601. All of this that they're looking at, that could lead into Yoakum, Grandview, Oak Grove, and many other areas. Now, folks, I have been told by the mayor of Oak Grove that he knows that there are some farmers in Oak Grove who would say yes to turbines. So if you know anybody in that area, please talk to them, tell them about all the negative things that happen with these wind turbines. Let them know that there's a good chance the wind company will not be around in 30 years when the contract expires to remove the turbines, and that their grandchildren will be stuck with old, dilapidated, oil leaking, blades falling off turbines that they will have to pay millions to clean up and remove. We don't want that happening to anyone's grandchildren. So it's imperative that everyone share my Facebook posts and my emails. We have really got to keep spreading this information around. The entire Carroll County is under attack, basically, from these parasitic, money-hungry, environmentally disastrous private companies for private gain land pirates. Please educate others about the negative side of wind farms so that they will say no when these land pirates come knocking on their doors. If they don't get enough yeses, then they can't build a turbine. I'm going to ask you to also call the justices of the peace in that area. They need to know that there's a second wind company that wants to come in, and our justices really need to get on the ball and create an ordinance. You can ask the JPs for a public hearing, ask for a public discussion, ask for a town hall meeting. Whatever you do, though, be polite because we need them on our side. Now, I mentioned earlier that the 3 justices from Eureka Springs have always voted for an ordinance, which is great. The 4 JPs that I want you to focus on are Hunter Rivet, Jerry King, Craig Hicks, and Matt Phillips. I'm going to say their names again and their phone numbers so that we can put that in the chat now. So Hunter Rivet is in the Grandview area, 870-350-6677. Jerry King is in the Yoakum area, 870-480-3156. Craig Hicks, he's in the Berryville area. He is in the city, but he would be on the front side if these turbines went into the Cisco Road area. Craig Hicks phone number, 870-654-7078. And then Matt Phillips, who's also in the Berryville city area, 870-480-7151. Now, those phone numbers will be on my Facebook page, and they are also found on the internet. Once you Google Quorum Court, Carroll County JPs, it'll come up. Now, folks, Arkansas has 75 counties and not a single wind turbine ordinance in place. That is why the wind companies are targeting us, even though we're a low wind state. Go figure. Folks, I believe that Boone County, Baxter, and Madison will be next for these parasitic land pirates. These counties and others need ordinances ASAP. I'm going to be working with Boone County, starting a group there so they can get an ordinance in quickly. I've already spoken 3 times at the Boone County Quorum Court, so they've got a little bit of background with me. I'm going to be in Harrison on Wednesday at the library at 11:30. We've got a room booked, so I'm hoping people from Harrison, Boone County will show up, and we're going to create and organize committees. We need volunteers for social media, to make phone calls, to meet with the JPs, and to put out signs and also newspaper stories. Here we go, wrapping it up. The last point of tonight's call is called Volunteer, Donate, and Vote. Volunteer to teach, talk, and telephone everyone that you can about wind turbines. There are a lot of people that know about them, but there's a lot of people that think that nothing's going to happen because we've been talking about it for 2 years almost. They think it's gone away. So please continue to tell people that it hasn't gone away and we're not giving up. We're going to keep fighting. We want to spread the word, especially to the north side of Green Forest and Berryville. Also, friends, if any of you have a group or event that you want us to come and talk at, or if there's going to be an event that we can have a booth and we'll set up at the booth, we'll be happy to do that. We did Pioneer Days and Ag Days recently, so we're happy to do that for you in Boone County or Carroll County. Oh, friends, I'm going to have some yard signs made. They'll be available for sale, and we need to put these in all kinds of prominent places. Some people on Cisco Road, County Road 601, have already agreed to put them up. These new signs are going to say, "Be a good neighbor. Don't sign a wind or solar lease." So Alicia from E&A Graphics is in the process of printing those and hopefully have those ready by Wednesday. Voting. Folks, I'm running for Justice of the Peace, District 11. I'm running against John Howerton. John Howerton was the first JP to know about these wind turbines, and we believe that he helped to introduce Scout to some of these major landowners. I am the first person to run against JP Howerton in, I think, 20 years is what I've been told. He's been unopposed for 20 years. So if you live in Rudd, Rule, Middleton, Osage, Alpena, or Carrollton, would you consider voting for me? Or If you don't, then please tell your friends that may live over here to please vote for me. We're going to have signs out this week, all up and down 21 and 103, 920, hopefully 412. So if you know of any people that would put signs in their yard, it's only for a month. We'd like to get those out ASAP. So I believe that if I can win against John Howerton, and we create an ordinance, and with votes from Kelly Matt, Harry Farrow, and Bruce Wright, and just 2 more JPs, then we can get an ordinance passed. Now there will be 2
Uh-oh.
and then Bobby James. Is there an uh-oh?
Yeah, you froze
You
up.
froze for a
Can
second.
you repeat the last few of those names?
Okay. So we've got 2 JPs that will win automatically in November. And those are Aaron Hall from Green Forest and Bobby James from Green Forest. So if you know these folks, just make a casual conversation. Oh, thank you, Megan. Casual conversation to them. So we hope to get an ordinance passed. It'll probably be January before it happened. Folks, please keep in mind these 2 things. These wind farms are a private project for private gain while risking the public health, safety, and welfare. It's just not right. There are more and more counties across the United States that are literally banning wind turbines. The New York Times had a big article about the counties pressing against these wind turbines and not wanting them. There are over 735 counties in the United States that have banned or put severe restrictions on these wind turbines. So we may not be able to ban them, but we could put on restrictions. So something great would be like a 1 mile restriction from the base of a turbine to the next property line. That alone would knock out the project because they could not build it. The second thing to keep in mind, folks, is silence is consent. So we've got to talk to people. You know, when Nikki and I first started this, we were in the parking lot at Green Forest and Green Forest Harps, just talking to people as they came by. We talked to people at the gas station, at the grocery store, at the town center. We talked to people at Walmart. I mean, strangers, literally strangers. So strike up that conversation, folks. And if you're on Facebook, my public page is Stop Wind Farms Carroll County. And from the public page, you can easily hit the share button and post that. Now, my private group is Stop Wind Farms AR, and there is not a share button on that page because there are certain things I just don't want shared. So I'll put them on the public page. So join both groups if you would. Folks, I plan to put out a printed version of what I've spoken about tonight. I'll do that in a couple of days. And please pray to win against the wind turbines. And I am going to turn this back to Michaela, and she can wrap things up. And if there are any particular questions, then we'll see if we've got time for that.
Yeah, there were a couple questions in the chat. So Carl wants to know when the JP11 election is.
Same as a regular election. What is that? November the
general election, November 5th.
November 5th. Yeah, you're voting for everybody at the same time, from the president all the way down to the JPs.
And then Liz asked, what about also taking this topic to the state level, such as to the Senate?
Well, it's tricky. First of all, we've always been told this doesn't have a federal nexus. And so it has to have a federal point in order to be involved at the state level. And also what I am really, really concerned with is that it may be mandated that Arkansas have to have turbines. This has happened in some states. And since we don't have any, they may mandate it. So I really don't want that to happen. But at the same time, we do have people in the state level that are very aware. We're meeting new people all the time. We've had a good handful of meetings with very influential people close to the governor. So that's about as far as we can take it at the present moment. And it really is because of this federal nexus.
Okay, does anybody have any more questions before we hop off? Don't think so. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this meeting. We will be posting on social media whenever our next meeting will be. We're going to try to get a consistent schedule for you guys, so that way we are constantly updating you. If you do want current up-to-dates, definitely check out the social media platforms, as well as you can reach out to either Carolyn or Angela, and I'm sure they'll be glad to answer your questions.
Michaela, can I ask one question? I can't seem to send it through chat.
Yep.
Do we know anything more about the open house, Scouts open house, a week from today? I think it's next Monday.
You know, I called and also sent a text to David Iderola today. No response. And I looked on the county judge's Facebook page, no mention. So all we know, we can confirm that Scout did book the room on Monday, October the 14th. And they booked it for all day just because that's what they have to do, so no one else can jump in there. The last time they had it, it was like at 5 or 6 p.m. and you could come and go as you want. But you know, it's getting pretty close to the wire and they haven't told anybody, although they mentioned it in forum court.
Okay, I was trying to check out, Liz had that question, will the posts include these chat notes? So we posted this in Zoom this go round. Let me talk with Angela and see if I'm not opposed to hosting this in Facebook. So Facebook Live, to where the chats are easily visible. We can always post the chat feed somewhere if we wanted to. So let me talk with my team and figure out the best place to put that, whether that be kind of a blog format, or how do we want to go about recording all of, you know, that data on the, you know, just in case you do want to see it before we get that taken care of. You can always rewatch this video on YouTube. So that will also be a place that you can view this. So I think that's all of the questions. So yeah, stay tuned. We have a lot coming up in terms of social media progression, websites, and even hosting these meetings. So there will be changes for the next one. If you guys have any opinions or you guys have any concerns or questions, do you prefer, you know, Zoom versus Facebook? Let us know any feedback, so that way in the future we can make it better for y'all. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.